Hi, this is an answer to a question I got sent that was about reflectors and generators. And so I thought that I would reply as an open subject just so that anybody can tune in. The first thing that I wrote to that person was, I don't know anything about your chart when you say that you're a generator. It makes so much difference if we're looking at the solar plexus connecting to the sacral center, or exactly what that center combination might be, because that is going to tell how she is a conditioning field for that reflector man. Now, when she says reflector as a type, I know that this guy has no centers defined. So I wrote her back that first question, and then she wrote me back that she has the G, sacral, solar plexus, and root defined. Once again, this is a little, too little information for me. I mean, I really prefer to see the chart, obviously. But now, is this a split? It could be a split. If it is a split, it means that the solar plexus is connecting to the root. And that can be very explosive. So one of the comments that she has asked me to address relates to her being emotionally, potentially explosive and very intense. So when we're looking at the solar plexus connecting to the sacral center as the way that that is a four-center combination, it could be either that the sacral center is defined to the solar plexus and to the G and to the root, or that the solar plexus is split from the sacral definition, and therefore that energy operates pretty differently. It means that when we were looking at that combination of the two charts, we'd really want to see if that reflector man is bridging the split, because as soon as we're seeing that root energy is connecting into the sacral center because of a conditioning gate he is bringing, this does let us know that the potential for being emotionally explosive becomes greater. And we want to be able to identify what happens when there is a channel definition that does not tie into the main energy or to the main power. So I don't actually know whether the sacral center is connected to the other three centers in a single definition, or whether the sacral center is connected to the G and the solar plexus is connected to the root. So when we would be looking at conditioning, we would want to be evaluating things besides just the solar plexus definition. That solar plexus center is defined to some other center. And because she has told me what four centers are colored in her chart, we know that the solar plexus doesn't connect to the throat, and we know it also doesn't connect to the heart center. So we have a little bit of an idea of what that might be. But when you look at any center, it's always two centers. And you want to understand that it's always two centers, because then you have an idea of really evaluating how that works. Just as a guess, just because of what she wrote about her intensity, I'm going to say from what she wrote that the solar plexus is connected to the root. And I might even further evaluate that it would be the 55 to the 39 for that intensity. I think that the passion of the solar plexus connecting to the root can be quite powerful drive, and it can also really be very tumultuous to be seeing it as it conditions somebody who is not emotionally defined. So that's a little clue on what she might want to look at further. But when we're looking at a chart, she's telling me she has an undefined throat, undefined ajna, so she recognizes what it is to be conditioned mentally. She gets that. And obviously the undefined spleen is a very important factor for her to understand how she operates. She also asked a question, how do the two charts combine? And this is something that is a very, very important consideration. And it's something very poorly understood, I would say, by almost everybody that I've talked with. When you look at how you are attracted to something, you want to look at your part, the part that you're then sending out a signal that you're attracted to something. So the attractor in your own chart is a clue for how you want to stay in your half of what's being conditioned between the two people. When you recognize that you're always attracted to the other because the other is bringing that conditioning that you like, to recognize what that means when we project onto the other, that you identify that energy that is actually conditioning and something that is pulling you toward it. When you identify that as, I don't like that, I don't want that, you are actually doing something that is an habitual way of relating to being conditioned. And then you would want to go back and look a little further how you related to that energy when you were a kid, how your parents might have conditioned you, how they might have informed you. It could be that your parents didn't know what they were doing. And so when you're looking at the conditioning influence of a reflector, you have to remember that the reflector is never going to stabilize any of that energy. And for the reflector to really identify his half of what is attracting the two people together means he has a chance to stay in those centers where the gate activations are playing out. Then he has a chance to experience himself. So this was fun. I look forward to seeing whether or not that reaches you and whether it is useful. So thank you for asking that fun question.